She is a monster, a gorgon with snakes for hair. Her gaze turns men to stone. Her name is Medusa. But is that the whole story? Is she a victim or a villain? Medusa's story is complex, full of betrayal, violence, and tragedy. Join us as we seek to understand the woman behind the monster, the victim behind the villain. Medusa's tale takes us deep into the heart of ancient Greece, a world of gods and monsters. Once Medusa was a beautiful young woman, a priestess in the temple of Athena. Her story, however, takes a dark turn. Betrayal and violence shatter her life, leaving her forever changed. Medusa's origins are shrouded in mystery, much like the depths of the ocean from whence she came. Her parents, Phorcys and Ceto, were ancient sea deities. They were parents to a brood of monsters, creatures that inspired fear and awe. Medusa, though destined for a different fate, shared this lineage of the strange and the terrible. Despite her monstrous heritage, Medusa was not born a monster. She was one of the Gorgons, 3 sisters with a shared destiny. Medusa, however, was born mortal, a flicker of fragile beauty in a lineage of the grotesque. While her sisters remained in their father's watery realm, Medusa ventured onto land. She possessed a captivating beauty, an allure that set her apart. Her hair, long and flowing, shimmered like spun gold. Medusa's beauty caught the eye of many suitors, but she dedicated herself to the service of Athena. She became a priestess in the goddess's temple, a place of peace and sanctuary. Within the temple walls, Medusa found purpose and devotion. However, this association with Athena would prove to be a double-edged sword, ultimately leading to Medusa's downfall. Her beauty, a reflection of divine purity, would betray her. Medusa's beauty was a beacon, drawing attention from mortals and immortals alike. Among her admirers was Poseidon, the god of the sea. Medusa, bound by her vows and devoted to Athena, rejected Poseidon's advances. Poseidon, consumed by lust, pursued Medusa into Athena's temple. This act of violation would have dire consequences, with Medusa bearing the brunt of Athena's wrath. The violation of her temple ignited Athena's fury. Poseidon had underestimated the consequences of his actions. Athena's anger, however, was not directed solely at Poseidon. Her gaze fell upon Medusa, the priestess who had been violated. Rather than punishing Poseidon directly, Athena chose to punish Medusa. Athena's judgment was swift and absolute. Athena's curse was as profound as it was terrible. Medusa's once radiant beauty became a source of horror. Her hair transformed into a writhing mass of venomous serpents. Her skin grew thick and scaly. Her eyes, now burned with an unearthly power, could turn any living creature to stone. Medusa, once a symbol of beauty, was now the embodiment of monstrous femininity. Some interpretations suggest Athena was trying to protect Medusa. By making her hideous and giving her the power to turn onlookers into stone, Athena inadvertently equipped Medusa with a defense. However, this protection came at a terrible cost. Medusa was condemned to a life of isolation, feared and reviled by all. Her own gaze became a barrier, isolating her from the world. The curse transformed her into a prisoner within her own being. The image of Medusa with her serpentine hair and petrifying gaze is instantly recognizable. In ancient Greece, Medusa was firmly entrenched in the realm of the monstrous. Depictions of Medusa in ancient art often emphasized her grotesque features. However, even within these early depictions, there are hints of a more complex narrative. Some artworks portray Medusa with a look of sorrow or defiance. These subtle details hint at the injustice of her fate. The most famous myth involving Medusa is her encounter with the hero Perseus. Tasked with bringing back Medusa's head, Perseus embarked on a perilous journey. Perseus's victory over Medusa is often interpreted as a triumph of good over evil. However, the story of Perseus and Medusa can also be read through a different lens. Some interpretations view Perseus's victory as a tragic tale of a victimized woman destroyed by a patriarchal society. Medusa, already cursed and ostracized, becomes a pawn in a power struggle between men. Following the classical period, Medusa's image continued to evolve. During the Roman era, her image was adopted as a protective symbol. This shift suggests a growing recognition of the duality in her story. In later centuries, Medusa's image was embraced by artists and writers as a symbol of female rage. The evolution of Medusa's image reflects changing attitudes towards women. She has emerged as a complex figure, capable of inspiring both fear and empathy. To fully grasp Medusa as a victim, we must revisit the events that led to her transformation. She, a priestess sworn to chastity, was subjected to Poseidon's lust within Athena's temple. Instead of punishing Poseidon, Athena directed her wrath towards Medusa. This act of punishing the victim resonates deeply with modern interpretations. Medusa's punishment becomes a stark representation of the systemic injustice women faced. Her once celebrated beauty became a source of horror, isolating her from the world. Medusa was a pawn in the power struggles of the gods. Athena and Poseidon were engaged in a constant rivalry. Medusa, caught in their crossfire, became collateral damage. Athena's decision to punish Medusa was about asserting her authority. Medusa became a tragic symbol of the capricious nature of divine will. Her agency was completely silenced in a story orchestrated by the gods. In recent years, there has been a movement to reclaim Medusa's story, to reimagine her not as a monster, but as a survivor. Feminist scholars, artists, and writers have sought to deconstruct the patriarchal interpretations of her myth, highlighting her strength, resilience, and the injustice she endured. This reinterpretation focuses on Medusa's agency, her ability to survive and even thrive in the face of unimaginable trauma. Her monstrous appearance, once a symbol of her curse, is now often seen as a symbol of her power, a testament to her ability to defend herself against a world that sought to control and silence her. This reframing of Medusa's story is essential in challenging traditional power structures and giving a voice to the marginalized. By recognizing Medusa as a victim, we acknowledge the pervasive nature of violence against women and the importance of challenging systems that perpetuate such injustice. Her story becomes a rallying cry for empathy, understanding, and a re-evaluation of how we perceive and treat those who have been labeled as monsters by society. Medusa's story evokes sympathy, but we cannot disregard her monstrous aspects. The Gorgon, with her petrifying gaze and venomous serpents for hair, is a prominent figure in Greek mythology. Her grotesque image served as a warning of dangers beyond the familiar world. Medusa embodied danger with her deadly gaze. Her presence brought instant death, turning the living to stone. This power made her a force to be feared. Medusa's story, passed down through generations, was imbued with dread. She was a figure of nightmares, a bogeyman to frighten children. To encounter Medusa was to face the ultimate fear, a fate worse than death. Medusa's monstrous form, while terrifying, also served a purpose. She was often depicted on shields, armor, and even doorways, not just as a fearsome image, but as a protector, a guardian against evil. The very sight of her, intended to repel and intimidate, served as a ward against unwanted intruders, both physical and spiritual. This duality, the ability to be both monstrous and protective, is a common theme in mythology. The monstrous often serves as a guardian of the threshold, a boundary between the known and the unknown. Medusa, in this context, represents the dangers that lurk beyond the familiar, the forces of chaos that must be kept at bay. Her image, while frightening, served as a reminder of the ever-present threat and the need for vigilance. Furthermore, Medusa's association with death, while undeniably fearsome, also links her to the cycle of life and rebirth. In many cultures, death is not viewed as an end, but as a transformation, a passage to another realm. Medusa, with her power to turn the living to stone, can be interpreted as a symbol of this transition, a representation of the transformative power of death. Despite her monstrous attributes, Medusa's story continues to fascinate and resonate with people centuries later. Her image remains a potent symbol in art, literature, and popular culture, often used to explore themes of power, gender, and the duality of human nature. This enduring fascination speaks to the complexity of her character and the enduring power of myth. Medusa's story serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the most beautiful and innocent can be corrupted and transformed by trauma and injustice. Her monstrous form becomes a reflection of the darkness that can reside within us all, the potential for violence and destruction that lies dormant beneath the surface. However, Medusa's legacy is not solely defined by her monstrosity. She has become a symbol of female rage and the destructive potential of patriarchal oppression. Her story, often told from the perspective of the men who sought to control and destroy her, is being reclaimed by feminist scholars and artists who see in her a powerful representation of female strength and resilience. Medusa's story, a tapestry woven with threads of beauty and horror, justice and vengeance, continues to captivate and challenge us thousands of years after it was first told. She is a figure of contradictions, simultaneously a victim of unspeakable violation and a monstrous entity capable of inspiring terror with a single glance. To confine Medusa to a single interpretation, to label her simply as a victim or a monster, is to ignore the complex tapestry of her myth. The duality inherent in Medusa's story is precisely what makes it so enduring. She is a reflection of the human experience itself, full of contradictions, capable of both great love and unimaginable cruelty. She reminds us that the lines between victim and monster, hero and villain, are often blurred, shaped by perspective, power, and the passage of time. To truly understand Medusa, we must embrace this duality, acknowledging both the injustice she suffered and the monstrous acts she committed. We must delve into the motivations behind her actions, the anger, pain, and isolation that fueled her transformation. Only then can we begin to unravel the layers of her myth and grasp its enduring relevance. The story of Medusa, like all myths, has evolved over time, shaped by the cultural and societal beliefs of those who tell it. In ancient Greece, she served as a cautionary tale, a symbol of the dangers of female power and the wrath of the gods. Her monstrous visage adorned shields and temples, a reminder of the chaos that lurked beyond the borders of civilization. However, as societal norms shifted and perspectives evolved, so too did the interpretations of Medusa's story. During the Roman era, her image took on a more protective quality, signifying a guardian against evil. In later centuries, artists and writers began to explore the psychological complexities of her character, highlighting the injustice she suffered and the rage she must have felt. This evolution of Medusa's myth underscores the dynamic nature of storytelling. Myths are not static relics of the past, but living narratives that adapt and transform alongside the societies that retell them. They serve as mirrors reflecting our own values, fears, and aspirations back at us. The way we interpret Medusa, the aspects of her story we choose to emphasize, reveals much about our own understanding of justice, gender, and the nature of power. What can we learn from Medusa's tale? Her story reminds us that narratives are rarely straightforward. It challenges us to look beyond surface appearances. Medusa, both victim and monster, compels us to confront human nature's complexities. Her story serves as a reminder of the power of myth. Myths explore universal themes of love, loss, betrayal, and redemption. Medusa's story resonates because it forces us to confront uncomfortable truths. As we gaze into Medusa's myth, we see our own reflections. We are challenged to examine our prejudices and assumptions. Medusa's story compels us to look inward and ask, who are we?